Hello guys, welcome back to my channel. Today we're starting a new series, breakfast series. I want to start out by making a quiche recipe. This series will consist of all of the recipes that I have never tried before. We will be trying them out together and tasting them. I wanted to start with quiche because I've never had it, I've never made it. I know the basic concept of it, so I can imagine what it tastes like, but it's something that I'm not familiar with. I know it's French thing. So I'm going to start by chopping up my vegetables with onion and jalapeno. That's what I will be using. I'm not gonna follow a certain recipe. I just checked out a couple of recipes online and saw that for the custard to set properly, I need to use like 3 eggs and a cup of milk, so I have that ready, but everything else is like whatever I have on hand, because I want these types of recipes to resonate with you guys, that you can make anytime without having certain ingredients, because I know like when I was a student I didn't have all of the ingredients, and that would discourage me from making recipes. I don't want that for my viewers. I want you guys to be able to do whatever you have on hand and apply it to the recipes that I give. So think of it like this is the technique and you can apply it to whatever you have. So I have about this much mozzarella cheese. I will be using that. I know in general I saw Swiss cheese was used in the recipes, and I have bacon. I already prepared my baking dish because I had leftover pie dough from Christmas, and I took it out of the freezer and just set it up, but you can definitely use a frozen one from the grocery store. Okay, let's get to the recipe. I'm gonna start by cutting up my onion. Well, I will be frying up the onion after I fry up the bacon. So I will fry up the onions and jalapeno in the bacon fat. I will probably get rid of excess fat of the bacon first before I add my onions, but I'm definitely planning on using the bacon fat. So let's chop. Oh well, here comes the tears. Push that to the side and chop my jalapenos. I'm going to slice the bacon now. Now I'm going to grate the cheese. I know grating the cheese is like takes time and it's frustrating and it's boring, but you can use grated cheese if you want. I don't like to use those because in order for them to be prevented to clump up together, they use starches, and that makes the sauce and the end product maybe a little bit more thick. So I like to grate my own cheese in like basically any recipe that calls for cheese. Now let's go to the stove to cook up these bacon and onions. Well, I'm from the Mediterranean, so the snow is not something that I'm used to. So for me, this is like really pretty and really fascinating. While I wait for the bacon to cook, I'm going to preheat the oven to 375. I'm probably going to be cooking the quiche 40 to 45 minutes. I noticed our breakfasts are getting really boring and we're eating the same thing every day, which is why I want to do this series. I want to try out things that I've never eaten before and learn some new recipes. Okay, now the bacon is crispy, so I'm going to transfer it to my bowl and add the onion in. It didn't produce as much fat as I thought it would, so I'm not going to remove any of the fat. Putting the onion straight in and adding some salt. Sauteing the onion in the remaining bacon fat with just a little bit of salt. And I'm going to saute until it turns in color. That beep was the oven reaching out to the temperature. And the onions are on medium heat. One of the key tips that I can give my viewers about cooking is salting every step of the way. For example, you add the onion, you add a little pinch of salt, and then you add something else, add a little pinch of salt. So basically seasoning as you go along. And when I say seasoning, I generally mean salting the dish, because seasoning and flavoring is two different things. Usually when you watch shows like MasterChef and you hear the chef saying this lacks seasoning, they're generally referring to salt. And I know sometimes in recipes some steps take a little too long, but that's okay. Just be patient because it's worth it in the end. Like waiting for the onions to get soft and colored. Today it's been heavily snowing in Montreal, and I planned on, like, me and my husband planned on going out for a little stroll around the neighborhood, but it's been snowing so much that we didn't yet. Maybe if the snow stops, we can go out now. We can go out then and, you know, hang out around the snow. At this point, I'm going to add the jalapenos now that the onion is a little translucent. I don't want the jalapenos to completely cook, just get them a little bit of toasty, and like I mentioned just before, seasoning. And if you don't like spicy food, you can omit the jalapeno or add bell peppers instead, or add other types of vegetables that you like. I have a feeling that broccoli would be really nice in this. But like I said, you can use whatever you have on hand, whatever you want to use up. Okay, we're done. Turn the heat off, transfer it to the bowl with the bacon, and we can move on to the final step, which is combining everything. Now it's time to combine everything. Before I start adding my vegetables and cheese and all that, I'm going to mix the milk with eggs. Of course, now that I've touched eggs, I have to wash my hands first. Mix. Basically, I don't want to see any white particles. So now, vegetables and bacon. I'm going to keep mixing. And cheese. And that's it. Oh, no, it's not that, it's it. Salt. My cheese does not have much salt in it, so I added accordingly, but if the cheese that you're using is quite salty, don't add as much. Pepper and one last mix. I got my pie dish here and transfer the claw method. Okay, now I'm making it even on all sides. Into the oven we go. Cut. So around 40 minutes mark, I checked it and it needed to cook a little longer. So I cooked it for another 15 minutes. Now it's time to get it out of the oven. It smells amazing. I'm going to do a knife test to see if it comes out clean. I'm getting it out. If not, I'm gonna cook it a little while longer, which is clean, so I'm getting it out. Now it's important to let it rest for about 5 to 10 minutes before we cut into it, but this is how it looks now.